half showed a team that were a little bit conservative in the sense that we didn't want to give away the ball or make silly mistake. At that in that breath, also we were not converting or creating or scoring much goals. So that was a problem. We were doing the job, but it was not pleasing in the eye. At that point, there were still question marks on what are we using Kai Havertz to do. Upon his arrival, I've always maintained that Kai Havertz is someone that we can deploy in the top nine. You understand? Someone that can play as a false nine, create spaces for the likes of, make it a little bit more dynamic. But if you guys can bear me witness, at the first half of the season, it was the other way around. We played him as a midfielder. It was a little bit static. It was a little bit, turbulent, scoring goals and all of that. And we all know how that panned out. But we were not far off the table first half of the season, and that is very good. You could remember that we lost some games which we shouldn't have lost, or we wouldn't have lost as our last season. We lost some games this season, the likes of Fulham, um, West Ham. These are games that naturally would have won last season, but we lost them this season. But thankfully, we were not far off the table. Now, the second half of the season, that was when we went to Dubai. Ateta redressed these mistakes and said, okay, he became more flexible. And against what we complained about in the first half of the season, the second half, I think he rotated. He gave few players a little bit of chance. At games where we were winning some, with a very big scoreline, he brought in someone else and all of that. Kai Havertz switched to a number 9 role, and you know what the rest they say is history. In the absence of our number 9 has done so well, and it has been very, very good. It brings me now to this part of the season where we are in, where we feel like we have done enough to win the league. But we are fighting against a psychic in the Man City, Pep Guardiola, and is a magnificent team, however I want to look at it. Whether we've done enough up to now, we have, you still point out to the Aston Villa match, but then again, this is football. And people will still point down to Fulham and what's the name? And West Ham. But I think we have done enough. We have done so well this season. We have scored more goals. We have, conceded less SGs and all of that. The metrics are there to see. The beauty of this team is that what we intend to do in the summer is going to be very, very scary, not for us, but for the rival fans. If this team is actually, as we think, is not yet there, and you add a few players, maybe a striker or a midfielder that will just make and take this team to the next level, you can imagine the thousands of opportunities that are there for us to explore next season. You understand? So as for now, I think we have all done well. I've seen a lot of takes about the player of the season. I've seen a lot of takes about the flop of the season. I don't want to say
Yeah,
flop.
we will come there. So if we are
Okay,
finished
okay,
with
okay, okay, okay,
your
okay.
season review, let's go to Daniel. Daniel,
Oh,
give
no,
us
no,
your.
I'm not done. I'm not done. I'm not done yet.
Then
Let me just
wrap
round up.
up. Daniel will
Okay.
come in the labyrinth. Yeah, thank you.
So the season so far has been very, very okay to me and very, very good. Is for me, it's a 7/10 at this stage. If we get on to win the title, for me, it's a 10/10. You understand? Because we it's not as if we have come close last season and we are still in it this season. Whatever people can say, it is there for us to see. I feel like we the standards has been raised. There's every season from last season where we first competed, we competed properly. We saw the levels. This season we have seen a little bit of the level gone up. So hopefully next season it goes up. I've been seeing names about strikers, midfielders, and all of that. It's a breath of fresh air when you are being linked to 100 million midfielder, a 70 million striker. It's a breath of fresh air. It shows that we can now compete. It shows that we are now very, very attractive as we used to be. So if we can, add Maggie and salt to this team that already tastes very nice, there are a number of possibilities for us to achieve a lot of things in the future. So I think it has been very, very good so far. Thank you.
Yeah, Daniel, go through your season review. You personally, the labyrinth. I mean, then we
Hey,
move on to the player of the season and all
what's
those.
up? What's up? What's up? How's things? Hi guys. Good evening, everyone. I trust you all are doing good. It's about 6 p.m. here in Lagos, so I hope that you guys are having fun. My season review is not wouldn't be so much of words. I'll just simply cap it by saying I think we're having a solid 7.5/10. 7.5 out of 10, and 7.5 in that we probably have dropped points in games that I felt that we should have won. So I'm just going to also point out two key parts of the season where I felt that Ateta hadn't really sorted out what his proper first 11 setup would be and how we would be able to play through those difficult teams, setting up mid and low blocks and trying to really make the spaces small for us. So, yeah, I thought that was a crucial part of the season that we would have learned from. And, we had those moments in the season where Ateta continually fielded Kai Havertz in the midfield and it wasn't really just working well. Felt like that part of the season didn't really help us in our points tally. Then I also felt that that very small rough patch in December seemed to have really set us back. Not so much, but I felt that if we had taken the games that we probably dropped points at home and lost narrowly, we would be in a much better position right now. So altogether, I think the season has been great. I love how we responded since the return from Dubai, and it's been phenomenal. I mean, it's been absolutely phenomenal. I think that one of the things we've done this season also is to build some strength of character where we are able to play through difficult things, we're able to get results at very hostile and near impossible grounds. That for me is a huge positive. I know that last season, um, we started off competing for the title and looking to get back into the Champions League, and um, one characteristic of our team last season was that we blazed through a lot of teams and that we, seemed to just hit teams quick and fast, get results quick. But I mean, this season we look like we slowed down at the beginning of the season um, as part of compensation to building strength of character. And you can see how that has really helped us in the recent run of results. We're hitting people for six, we're conceding less goals than we ordinarily would in certain games. We're seeing out games comfortably. There's less pressure on the team. And, I just think that is all of these things is a combination of what will happen next season. We're going to be blazing through teams next season if we get our summer business right. And we're also going to be, we're going to be, we're going to be also keeping lots of clean sheets, seeing off very difficult games, and I have a strong feeling that we will not only make the semi-finals of the Champions League next season, we could go all the way to the final to compete to actually win it. And if it would be sad if we don't win the Premier League this season, but I think we can go one step better again next season. So altogether, it's been a solid season, a positive one, a solid 7.5 for me. If we go on to win the league, of course, it's a 10 over 10. So I think that will just be my summary of what the season has been. Thank you.
Labyrinth, the whole season started from preseason, the caps, everything that happened. Give me your monologue of the season and your personal opinion about how things have panned out till now. Yeah, Labyrinth, go through.
Yeah, can you hear me? Am I clear?
100%.
All right. So far so good. The season has been, to me, topsy turvy. My ratings have changed at every point in the season, so I don't think I can give a definitive rating now until the end of the season. But
A general
if I'm
overview.
if I'm if I'm asked to, I'll give it like a 7. Uh, so far, a 7.5. And if the season, funny enough, yeah, if the season ends without a trophy, that rating drops. It's why I said it's topsy turvy for me. Simply because you know, we've had a fairly good season. We've had a very good season. Uh, but just like one of the last speakers said, I felt we were going to to compete very well in the cups. I know, and we didn't really do so well in the cup competitions. I know, so um, it's why my ratings will definitely drop come the end of the season because I felt, yeah, if we're stronger this season, I mean it should have reflected across board in the other competitions as well. We put out a good outing in the Champions League. It was fair enough, but uh, we came out. We so far so good. We've been trophyless. So I'm really just hoping, yeah, come the end of the season we win the Premier League, or
What
else
about
it's
your how did you see our run in the league? And
yeah, that's what I'm saying, because I'm looking at it. Yeah. Except we want to live in the moment, then we can say yes, we had a
I
good
want you
outing.
to give your whole perspective, like how the season pan out, how you expected it to be to where we are here. Like
Yeah,
you,
that's what I'm saying. Yeah, I expected so far in the league. Yeah, we've been good, very good, not just good. We've been very good in the league. I know, but it's been limited to just the league. I've not seen the performances in the cup games. My expectation this season was at least we win a trophy, and that's why I'm saying that I would have really waited. I would have really loved the space to come at the end of the season. So we're looking at it in retrospect, and by then we would have known our fate if we're winning the league or not. Because in as much as I want us to win the league, if we end up going trophyless, in like I said, except you just want to live in the moment, because I'm looking at it like 5 6 years from now. I mean, nobody will really care what we did this season if we end up trophyless. It's just going to be what it is, another trophyless season. So it's why it's a bit. It's like I said, very topsy turvy for me, my ratings. But um, for for what the boys have done this season, I mean, I have to give them credit. Credit where due. If you look at the metrics, whether you're looking at the goals scored, the goals conceded, and everything, we're top of it. We're topping every metric, and also we're just really hoping that at come the end of the season it pays off, or else we'll now be left to real our losses, the games where we faltered and dropped points where it wasn't necessary, and then we start looking at it and over analyzing those games and saying, okay, we did this, we did that, and then we're made to pay at the end of the season for it. So, uh, like I said, it's a 7.5 for now. If we get to the end of the season and we don't end up winning, then I think it drops for me. And also, that's just how it
yeah,
is. I don't know if you're doing the player ratings or the
very
seven.
very soon. Fabring, that's a good take. Will your season overview so far from preseason up until now? It's been a roller coaster. How do you sum it up until now, and your own expectations about what had happened? Have you been satisfied, unsatisfied, and what are your reasons? Well, you can go through. Thank you.
I don't know if you remember this, Hassan, but like during December, November is when you were having the Arteta out spaces for a bit. I told everyone, I was like, hey guys, wait till the end of the season, see how we end up pinning out, and we'll see where things go. And throughout the season, there was a lot of spaces having Arteta's head, this and that, blah, blah. Personally, for me, I'll give this season an 8, just because you see the progression from last season to this season immensely. You genuinely do see the progression. Last season, during this back end of the Prem, we just completely fell apart. Top of falling apart, you saw that Arteta just made some foolish decisions. You saw that there was a lot of negatives towards the end back end of last season to this season versus this season. Like we're just doing a lot better. In terms of the Champions League, I honestly expected us to make it where we made it this season. Just because again, like one thing we noticed this campaign was just that the inexperience kind of really took over in terms of the away games. And I'm hoping, just like I'm seeing this trend where we just keep on improving season after season, I'm expecting that next season that'll change. Just like for from this season to next season in terms of the Prem, I'm expecting a lot to change as well too. This season we've been doing pretty well, apart from the finishing aspect of things, which is probably the biggest thing for me that I felt that we've honestly haven't done well is the whole finishing stuff. But apart from that, I genuinely do think that we haven't been bad. I think that we played well. The only areas that we could improve in, I think we should improve in, is the not dropping foolish points and being able to be a little bit more ruthless in a lot of these situations. And again, I expect us nothing less than to improve next season. If the season does end out with the Prem, I obviously, just like most of us, will see this as a very successful season, a very successful campaign. But in terms of like Arteta and in terms of the squad and stuff like that, I do think it's a solid 8. A lot of the players have stepped up. A lot of the players have done what they had to do. Of course, like some players are still not there fully, but it's one of those things where we're gonna have to see how they do next season type stuff. But there's not really much to it, bro. 8 out of 10, they're gonna improve next season, and I don't doubt that they're gonna improve too.
Just quickly, I'm
Otherwise,
gonna just drop down quickly. I'm gonna come back. I just
okay,
need to make a
okay.
call.
Radiotherapy. Let me come back to you before we go to that, and I'll go to you, and I'll ask Labyrinth too. Then probably Derek, who is new, will come in. Radio. This season so far, what do you think prevented the squad from like achieving their full potential, like the run we saw in the second half? What will you say that, because January we did not buy anybody? So what presented us? Is it squad building? Is it injuries? Is it lack of motivation? What prevented us from like stepping our foot on the gas earlier on to face this City juggernaut? What do you think has been our flaws this season, Radio?
I think Pep Guardiola is the reason. Yeah, it's more like external factor than the internal. Pep Guardiola is the reason why Klopp has only one Premier League title all his years in Liverpool. They appreciated it a lot because that was him ending 30 years of wait, right? Pep Guardiola is the reason. We can go on about looking at we should have won some games where we lost. We should have converted on chances. We should have defended well in some situations. You will say we gave a stupid point away against Aston Villa, for instance. City has done the same, and they are still in charge. City have given stupid points away against Nottingham Forest along the season. They've done the same against, I think, Wolverhampton Wanderers defeated them as well. They scored twice. What do you say about that? Any team can lose against anybody on any day. But at the end of the day, you look back at the season, don't beat yourself up too much about where you could have done better, what you should have done, which point you lost, where you should have won. We can't go the whole season unbeaten. We can't win 38 over 38. These things we go about looking at Liverpool, Fulham, West Ham, and then Aston Villa, the recent losses. We have lost only one game after the turn of the year. We have drawn only once, and that was at Manchester City. That is title winning form. Take that to Bundesliga, you win in the Bundesliga. Take that to the Scudetto, you win it in the Serie A. Take it to anywhere. It is Pep Guardiola. See, the guys cannot be perfect. The coach is not perfect. We cannot always have a perfect game. We can look at things retrospectively. We can watch the replays and look at, oh, this guy wasn't marking this one. This guy wasn't, of course, covering this space. But this is football. Things happen very fast. The game is fleeting. It is transient. Sometimes you realize things when they have already happened. Before you blink, before you maybe something entered your eye, like I don't know what is it with Tommy and them using maybe some protective something in his eyeballs. Before you realize what is happening, something has already you have considered a goal. Pep Guardiola is the reason. And ask me why, and I will tell you, in all his coaching career, he has lost the league titles only 3 times in 3 different countries. First was in 2011-2012, losing it to Mourinho. Mourinho had to create a monster team, turn Sergio Ramos to, I don't know what to call him now, Pepe. This guy's turned to. I mean, he had to do something crazy.
Brian Beckenbauer and Goretzka and the rest.
I mean, what was that? What was that Real Madrid team? Was that a Spanish team?
Radiotherapy. Can I ask you
Was
something,
that a
radio,
Spanish
please?
team? Was that
Oh,
a Spanish team playing a Spanish
radio.
football? Conte in
Sorry,
2016,
can you guys hear me?
2017,
Hi, can you hear
and
me?
Klopp in 2019, 2020. In all his coaching years, only 3 times. Name another coach in 3 different leagues that has lost it only 3 times. And he has raised the bar so high, you can be as good as we are, conceding the least goals, scoring the most goals, being very good, almost perfect everywhere. Everybody is scoring. How many of our guys are on double figures in all competitions? And here we are. We are not in control. He's had guys off form. KDB has not always been available. Doku has been playing shit all season. Don't talk about individual players. The only 2 players in the City team who you can call consistent are Rodri and maybe Foden, maybe 70-75% of Foden. He still find a way to win. I don't know if this guy is using some voodoo or something. He just know. I don't know. It is not about Arsenal. I know clearly we can get better. Anything that is good can be better, right? But if you lose the league title, scoring 70 points this season, if the following season you score 85 points and you still lose the league title to somebody, would you say you've gotten better? Would you say it is your fault? I mean, we've strengthened. The mistakes we made last season was at this stage. I know we started very fast last season. That was because we took most of these opponents unawares. They never knew what we had for the season. When they realized that they're mounting mid block and low block and all of that, it became difficult. This season, they started monitoring Arsenal progress from last season, and we started facing this difficulty from day one against Nottingham Forest. But we've wriggled our way all the way to being in contention, and we have 1 point after what we've had, scoring goals for fun and conceding none. Only 2 shots on target in 4 games we conceded. Only 2 shots on target in 4 games. Against Tottenham Hotspur, it became 600 minutes of football action, of not conceding a goal away against Tottenham before the moment of madness. I know we can be better, but let's first appreciate how good we are today. And I feel the progress is steady. And Pep Guardiola is the reason why, if we don't win the title this season, we can continue to build, we can get to that level. The coach can, is better than Pep Arteta, clearly so. Not yet at the level where we start comparing the two. The squad, maybe we are closing the gap, but there is something that he has that we don't. Something he has that Ateta doesn't. The boy is
Uh,
going very fast, and I
Radio, I
feel
don't know if you know this,
Okay.
Radio, but Kevin De Bruyne, he hasn't played many games, but he's, I think, third in most assists in all, like, the whole world football. I don't know if you know this, bro. So that guy's clutch factor really does come into play with this whole
what about
late
the
push
time he
with
was
Man
not
City.
available? When he wasn't available, the first time he got injured, did you see the games, the run of form of Julian Alvarez playing in his position? For like 10 games, 10 straight games, he was playing the right thing, he was making the passes and everything in the absence of Kevin De Bruyne. The minute he dropped form, and then somehow Silva was restored there, Bernardo Silva started playing the role again. I think it is more about if Pep leaves this team today, trust me, City will struggle to make top four. Trust me. I think it is more about Pep factor than what we have done right or what we have not done correctly.
Radio, I would come back at you with that, and I agree. I have to
Yeah,
agree.
Mark, hold on.
Radio.
Let's hear from Labrin quickly. He wanted to say something. Then
Yeah, sorry.
Mark,
I just
you
really, I wanted to ask radio a question because there's this misconception that if we played this way in the other leagues uh, this season, we would have won the league. And all. Why I said when I was making my submission is that if come the end of of the season we do not win the league, we'll have to reel our losses is because we've had 5 losses this season. If you look across the top 5 leagues, I think and you're looking at everyone currently topping the table and the top 5 leagues. I don't think any of them have up to 5 losses this season. Is why I'm saying here that I think Madrid has just 1 loss. Leverkusen
You
haven't
were
lost any game.
see,
No, hold
look
on,
at this.
hold
Let
on,
me
just
put my
hold on,
answer.
hold on. I'm trying to make a point. That's why I'm saying here. If you're looking at things in retrospect at the end of the season, you will have to review those losses. You will have to review them, because if you even look at the games that were lost, you would see that you just have no choice than to review those losses, because uh, even a draw in those games would have put us in a good position. Because, like I said, if you're trying to mirror it with all the they've won their league. Leverkusen have won their league. Inter had just one loss this season, even though the gap was. But it's just the way it is. Yes, I
I
understand
understand what
Guardiola.
you're trying to
I,
say.
understand, I
And I was
understand
on the civil
Guardiola
side
is
saying, look,
someone that.
listen, listen, listen,
No,
listen.
hold on.
It is not the same quality of opponent. They don't have. Do you know that no Serie A team right now can fork out 50 million pounds to sign a player? Do you know the reason why Conte left? Initially? Do you know that Roma had 50 million pounds budget for Victor Mourinho the summer shopping? So look, the quality of the opponent, you have to consider this. Now, I'm
Yeah,
not saying
I,
that.
I, I get what you're
Listen,
saying. I get what you're saying.
listen,
It's
listen, listen,
it's a
listen,
case
listen,
where
listen.
if you if you're
If you
if you're
put
if
if
you're
you
going.
put these
Okay.
clubs, if you put these clubs in the Prem, where a certain Brazilian midfielder was linked to Arsenal and ended up with Nottingham Forest, a certain German striker was linked to Tottenham, ended up with Nottingham Forest, where they have the purchasing power and probably the influence to make players turn their head and all of these things. It is not in the same league. Look, Bayer Leverkusen just ended 12 years of one club winning the title. That's something. Take it to Serie A. You mentioned Inter Milan. Inter Milan could not even make signings, and then what they had was enough against which teams? The inconsistency. Every year you have a new champion. Put Manchester City in La Liga under Pep Guardiola. He's done it with Barcelona. Why are we talking long? Look, put Manchester City under Pep in any of these leagues. Make him the standard. You understand what I'm saying? Look, the quality of opponents cannot be overlooked unless you want to lie through your teeth. The league is different, and they don't even help you with match scheduling. We played 3 matches in 10 days. Did you see Man City against Chelsea? They could have lost the game. They were playing their third game in 11 days, and Pep lamented after the game. In Bundesliga, in La Liga, when you have a game on Tuesday, you play on Friday night because there was no TV to control of that. Yes, I understand less money compared to England. There are a lot of factors that come to play. We were playing against Aston Villa, and trust me, those boys, half of their minds was in the game against Bayern Munich. Some things you cannot control. You can do your best as a coach. You can make the color selection. They might be wrong when you look back. You could be right when you win the game. But there are some things you cannot control. Some things must happen to you. I just told you Wolverhampton Wanderers, when they were even in a lower position, defeated Manchester City. How would you explain that? If you explain that, then I explain to you why Aston Villa defeated us home and away. Emery, even with Villarreal, since he left, he has not lost. There are a lot of things that come to play when sometimes that decide the outcome of the games. You can look away and think we should by now be unbeaten. Did you see this in December? Did you see this in November? No, we were all surprised the form we have. In fact, some of us even condemned the coach and the program to travel to Dubai. What were they going there to do? I mean, call it luxury. Yeah, he was chilling with Salt Bay and all of that. But when we are seeing the result now, we now appreciating. Fans, we forgive ourselves when we make wrong assumptions. But when the team make mistake, during the squeaky bump times. Not even like they lose 3 games on the bounce like we did last season, or drew 4 games on the bounce like we did, losing, throwing away lead. Look at us. We picked ourselves up immediately and we are back on track again. We've beaten 2 London teams in a derby under 3 days. After that, come on, give some credit sometimes. And I feel, lastly, before I pass on the microphone, I feel if you continue to measure our progress by the cup we have won every season, you will not appreciate this team enough. You need to look relatively to how we have performed the previous season for you to see the improvement. Otherwise, you think we're even worse this season than last season.
You know what, Radio?
After Hadi, Derek will come in briefly. Hadi, go through your season review, how you've seen the season up until now.
Yeah, before I just quickly give my season review, I did want to say one thing about what Radio was mentioning. I mean, a lot of what you said was right. You know, it's not you have to look at the progress that we've been making year by year to decide whether we've been successful or we're on the path to success. But the one thing I disagree with is the comment about if us not winning the season is because of Pep Guardiola. Now, as good as he is, and as phenomenal as he is, and as great his team has been this season or has been, I feel that this is becoming too much of a for us. It's not the right excuse because the only time you can say that is when or if Arsenal have used all their ammunition. They've used everything that they have to go for this win. And I believe specifically this season we haven't. And that's quite evident by the number of games we lost, but also the reasons why we lost. And also looking at the first half of the performance, first half of the season performance by Arsenal, where we lost those. I mean, we beat Man City and we drew. So we got 4 points out of 6 against them. We got 4 points 4 points out of 6 against Liverpool, and we got 4 points out of 6 against Chelsea and Tottenham as well. So clearly, our problem isn't with Man City or even our top 6 players. It's the teams that we lost to or we drew to, things that were in our hands.
But do you remember that this used to be a problem? Do you remember this used to be a
Yeah, I
against the
understand
top
that, but look,
sides?
yeah, exactly. So that is one improvement, absolutely. So that's a huge improvement from last season and the season before, and it's massive to do with all in one season to get 4 points out of 6 against both Liverpool and Man City that season where they're both challenging, which by the way is different to the Liverpool of last season. So it is huge progress. But again, if we don't win this league title this season, it won't be because Man City or just another level. It's because of what we didn't do or what we didn't use in that first half of the season. And one of the things is, we had injuries to Timber, and that's a huge part of what happened. But also, I feel like there's a lot some of those games that we lost or didn't or we drew in the first half of the season. We didn't rotate well enough. We haven't been able to use all our guns. We didn't use Smith Rowe well enough. We
Yeah,
didn't.
yeah,
And
Hadi, let me come in, right? I know, but looking at ourselves, probably in our best 11, Partey and Timber are in it, right? And we lost them for, let's say, 90% of the season. So I
yeah,
kind of
no,
agree
that,
with
that,
Red
that
Therapy saying that Guardiola had all his ammunitions
mhm.
very drawing and firing at us, where we had two of our big guns out for like 90%. So that might
Yeah,
have contributed to that game.
that's a huge contribution, Huston, and not taking that away. That's a huge contribution as to why, if we don't win the league, right? But again, I feel like what we have to understand, I think what Arteta needs to understand also, is that we are not Man City. We're not Chelsea. We don't have the luxury of just buying and getting rid of players who we want whenever we want. Unfortunately, sometimes we have to make do with what we have. Now,
I,
if you have
I don't think you
Nelson, if you
understood what
have
radio was
Nketiah,
saying, bro. Because
what?
like I don't think you understood fully what radio was saying. Because as much as like I don't want to accept what he said, you have to accept it to an extent. Because the reasoning it's
Yeah, to an
Guardiola's.
certain extent,
No,
yes.
no, no.
But
But
again,
like,
we
let
beat
me
Man
let me finish
City.
up because it's only one sentence, bro. Because like, as much as you hate to like admit it, and I know a lot of people hate to even admit it, even just point a finger at him, bro. The reasoning there's just such a fine margin with just small errors, bro, is because of how perfect Pep tries to be throughout the season, and how perfect and how much of a long winning streak that team as a whole goes on, bro. Like in previous seasons, bro. If you go pre-Pep, the amount of points we're on right now would have been the right enough to be able to win us the league. But now we're in a position where it's like we're borderline almost perfect. We're not perfect, but we're borderline almost perfect in terms of like dropping certain points. But it's like Guardiola hasn't lost a single game since what, December? So it's like it's like it's the perfection aspect of things, and how much this league is coming to just like small little margins and small little errors that's causing us to be able to not win the league this season. And to be honest, bro, that sucks. Like that
No,
really
I
sucks.
I can admit that perfectly well. Will it hurts so much, like because we, like you said, we were pretty much almost perfect. We did every single thing right. But again, I think a lot of us are judging of how well we're doing based on only the second half of the season, and we're forgetting what we did and what we didn't do in the first half of the season. Now, like I said, we did very well against Man, we did almost perfectly well against Man City. To get 4 points out of six is pretty much perfect against them, right? And again, it's going to become to these fine margins. And I feel that there were some things in our hands and our ability to do that we didn't do. And I'm not, blaming Arteta saying he's a terrible manager or anything like that, but I'm just saying these some of the things that we could have done if we managed to utilize some of our players better. Then that one game, one of those games, if we had won or drew or two or three of them, drew at least, then we're literally um, well, we're on top of the table, right? When you look at the points. But at the same time, though, I do get it because it's such small margins, and sometimes I feel like for us, the reason why we are so good at the second half of the season is almost because sometimes you have to kind of fall to be able to get up and lead to the top. Like it's almost like we needed to Arteta needed to see how bad it was that he wasn't rotating enough, that he was using Havertz in the midfield instead of up front. When he changed that, we absolutely just destroyed all of the teams in this second half of the season. So, but this is still
Abby,
progress, and this is something that we need to take on to the next
there's
season.
something, there's something about the beginning. There's something about the first half of the season. We had new guys. They came in not to sit on the bench. If you're having three new players to work in first 11, there will be some time. Even if they are good individually, it will take time for them to blend in very well. The chemistry we enjoyed today was built at the beginning of the season. The Kayave that is so good today, that is almost indispensable, if we put him on the bench because he was struggling in the first half, we will struggle at this stage. The good things we see today, the chemistry even between Saliba and Gabriel, the Ben White's form and everything, those were the time. Look, Pep has done what, 19 games now unbeaten. I think he won 15 and drew 4. You're looking too much at how many games we've lost. Drawing games is the devil. Drawing games is the devil. We can look back and say we should have secured a point against Aston Villa or maybe against Fulham as well. But in real time, it was drawing games that led us to losing the league last season, not even losing the games. I think we lost against Brighton and Manchester City, and that's all. We didn't lose against Liverpool. We didn't lose against Southampton. We didn't lose against West Ham. Look, the good things we see today, we appreciate from the turn of the year, is the harvest from the farming, the produce, whatever we did, the cultivation in the beginning of the season, having new players and sometimes having injury to the key players. And sometimes players can have difficult time. Saka had difficult time. We forgot how to score goals at some point. You don't put that on the coach. You would have said, use whatever you have. You would expect Nelson to do better than Saka, right? In December when Saka was struggling. Let's be realistic.
No, I mean,
The standard is
I disagree on that. I mean, we
the
can't really expect him because
that's what that Ferguson used to win three on the bounce. Had players like what, like what's the name, Welbeck. They had Cleverly. They had these funny guys. The standard is no longer the same. This is the biggest and the strongest team in the world. Forget they are not in the semi-final of the Champions League.
well, I mean, look,
Real Madrid had to do
with
a system of.
those kind of
It's unfortunate that young Arteta is competing against this devil. And I hope that we continue to get better. And I'm honest, like I said at the beginning, I really want us to win the Premier League at this time. Trust me, there's nothing like it.
Can I just chime in?
This
quickly?
time, we go down the history of football.
Yeah, I just want to chime in. I think, from my perspective, I think the bottom line is that when we isolate the team Man City, they're a slightly better team than us, and they have a better manager than us. And that's the bottom line. I've been looking at this Man City gap for the past 5 years. And when we started with Arteta, we finished the league about 35 points behind them, something in that region, maybe even 40. All the way until we've been closing the gap every season since. all the way until last season, we finished on 84 points, and I think they finished on 87 or 89. I can't remember. So, right now we're at the precipice where we could beat them or we could finish on the same amount of points as them, whatever may happen. And the fact of the matter is, for me, I just look at the Man City team. Still halfway through the season, you can get rid of a Calvin Phillips because you've got Matthias Nunes and all these other players there. They've got 2 players for every position who would get into most people's teams, and we don't have that yet. We saw when Reece Nelson, you've got your Eddie Nketiah, you've got your Fabio Vieiras. These are players that Arteta doesn't really trust yet, or they're not fully ready. Man City, they have players that are ready. If it's not Grealish, it's Doku. If it's not Foden, it's the other guy, it's Bernardo Silva. High level quality players. And this is the bottom line. Man City, treble winning team, going for the double again this season. They're just a better team than us. And as much as we tried and we've added and we've toiled and whatever, there's still a small gap to this team. And that's reflected in the league. It's reflected in the Champions League. We went out at the same stage. So I feel like we're closing the gap, but just to round up, I feel like the bottom line is that Man City are just slightly ahead of us. And that's what we see today.
Slim, I believe that missing 2 of our best players, which is Partey and Timber, that's the margin where City ran with it. Because if we had Partey and Timber too, in case of trust, the manager would have trusted those people more in the December run in where we had all those features than Kivio having to invert, Havertz getting stuck in midfield. So what I'm looking at in this summer is you have a huge platform here, Mr. Arteta. Now you know your first 11. What can you do to either elevate that first 11 to the next standard or beef up the squad so that in December in particular, we don't find ourselves wanting? Because December and April, that is where
First team,
first team
for first team, we can match Man City. Our first team squad is I'd say
That's
is
what I'm
as
saying.
good as
What
Man
can you
City.
do
But
in the market, right?
I'm telling you, where we fall short is in the squad. We saw it when Reece Nelson last plays. We all came on the space and said he played safe. We've all complained about Eddie Nketiah. I see them bringing on Haaland, or bringing on Alvarez. There's different levels to this, you understand? And that's where we're behind. We can't really bring on an attacking player right now who will affect the game. If Gabriel Jesus and Havertz play, there's no attacking player who will come on and affect the game. And that's where we're short. You understand? This is where we're short. So,
and that is why, me, for instance, Mr. Arteta, whatever happens, barring Timber or Zinchenko coming in, you know your first 11 now. That would be very key because the players we lost in the summer, someone like Xhaka, his durability in terms of his availability, what he did for us on the left, if probably we got in Rice and we didn't let Granit go, Partey's injury issues wouldn't have affected us that much. So I don't want to make a mistake of losing another first key team player this summer, right? That is the key because Guardiola, as much as we all want to say, the guys he brought in, he never put any of them in until the second half of the season. He gave them the time to bed in whilst we were struggling with Havertz to come better, Rice not doing things Partey did. So that is me personally what I have to say. But Delta, let Charlie hold on, let Delta go through. Delta, your season review, then we go to Derek, then Belgium.
Okay. Can you hear me correct? Properly?
Yes.
Okay. So I listened to Hadi and AY Slim, and I think what they basically said is exactly how I feel. Like 100%. Like I do believe our first 11 is great, and it's on the same level as Man City. Maybe if we're playing pure football, they may have more clinical players in in terms of killing off teams. But if we're to say like overall, I would say we can match them on the field. It just depends on, you know, who scores and who doesn't on the day. But our second team, I think that obviously we saw it last season when teams like was it Sporting Lisbon, when we went to their home, they completely played us off their ground. And to be honest, I don't put Arsenal. The way I look at Arsenal, I believe that we're a better team than Sporting Lisbon. So I think that if we're seeing examples of our team being played off the field by teams that we consider less than, it's the manager's responsibility to go into the summer and be like, okay, you know what, my B team might not be the greatest, but I think we had so many moments, like with Reece Nelson scoring against Bournemouth. We saw what Eddie done against Manchester United last year, and obviously Emil Smith-Rowe still had his ghost where he kind of saved us, and we got eighth that season 2 seasons ago when he scored against Chelsea and all of that. So I think he put a lot of reliance on those guys where he just wanted to put faith in them. So he already had his 11, and then he just said, okay, these guys are ready, man. Like, these guys are ready. They can come off the bench and do a job. So this season, he did improve our team. Like, there's no one that Arteta bought this season that didn't improve our team. But I think that obviously because we play so many games and realistically it's a brand new team, so everyone needs to know how each other plays. Declan Rice has never played with Kai Havertz. Raya's never played with the rest of the guys, so it's going to take a bit of time for everyone to gel in. And then you have the 3 young boys from Hell End and, Fabio Vieira. They haven't played consistent football where they've shown us that they are ready for Arsenal. Do you get what I'm saying? They might be ready for the Premier League, but Arsenal are aspirations for the season. So I think he did take a very big gamble with that. And obviously we got found wanting. When we played West Ham, we got beaten. It's not beaten, we got battered. We got taken off the field, bullied, everything. And I think at that game was the one that he actually turned around and said, you know what? I've put too much faith in my B team. And since then, you've hardly seen Eddie, you've hardly seen Reece, you've hardly seen the rest of the guys. Like, they just about come on. So I do believe that I ain't going to put the blame on Arteta because no one's expecting Timber and Partey to be injured for so long. It's just one of those ones where you got to charge it to the game. This is football. Do you get what I'm saying? But at the end of the season, it's now Arteta's responsibility to see, okay, you know what? It didn't work for me last season. My B team wasn't good enough to get me through the cup games, and it didn't work for me this season. So now he just has to be ruthless. In terms of my season review, I think that we've been great. The second half of the season, we've been practically perfect. The first half, it was just that we wasn't gelling. I think Arteta had to work it out, and it took a while. You feel me? So I just think that overall, like, to me, I understand that we've come out in the cups and stuff like that, but I give him an 8 as well. Because he's working against a demon in Pep. Like, when you look at players like Haaland to me is not a world-class player. He's a world-class goal scorer. Do you get what I'm saying? And these are the different profiles that Man City have that at this moment Arsenal don't have. We don't have a world-class goal scorer. You feel me? We just about have. Me personally, I will say with chest, I believe Bukayo Saka is a world-class player. You feel me? And everyone's
Odegaard.
gonna have that.
And Odegaard.
And Odegaard. Do you get what I'm saying? In their own rights, because world-class means the best, among the best in your position, and you can't tell me 5 number 10s and 5 number 7s at this moment that are better than those 2. So I think it's just about improving and just getting the profiles that are missing and just swapping and changing. And sorry, what did you say, Anthony?
No, you said you can't name me in terms of number 7. I said I can. Vinicius Junior. So
okay,
yeah, You know what I'm
Vinicius is
saying?
on the
Like,
left, but let him finish, Anthony.
Okay. The business, yeah, that's what I was gonna say as well, but it's okay. I guess the left is the right. But yeah, what I'm trying to say is that yeah, he just needs to change the second team, and then we're a goal next season. If he doesn't, and we don't win that trophy, then we're gonna have to have conversations with him at the end of the season next year. You feel me? But yeah.
Derek, come through quickly. I know you wanted to say something about how the season panned out for you. Are you there, Derek?
Yeah,
How
thank
the
you,
season
Austin.
panned out for you. Then we go to Belgium. Then we come back to Anthony, who was pretty here first, but he was getting a haircut. Big man wants to look fresh always, so. And maybe Anthony Romano will have some transfer stuff for me as well. Derek, go through.
Yeah, thank you for having me, Austin. First off, you said I'm new on this space. I'm not new. If I'm not on the speakers section, I'm always on the listeners section every time. So let me just correct that. Then reviewing our season, well, like the first speaker I heard when I came in was saying we have to have an overview after the season finishes and all of that. But so far, well, first off, let me somebody talked about Pep Guardiola, the league, the competition, and all of that. I agree with that. Removing Pep Guardiola and looking at the league as a whole, you will know that the Premier League is very, very competitive. If you are looking at what they are trying to do now about cap to salaries, profit sustainabilities, I think they're trying to make it even more competitive, that even the other clubs, smaller clubs, becomes more competitive with the bigger clubs. You have more tactical managers now coming to the Premier League, and you will even have more in the season coming. So, and you will even have more billionaires or Arabs trying to come buy clubs from the Premier League. Whether you like it or not, not looking at the money alone, it is competitive. It is watched. It's one of the most watched leagues in the world and all of that. So it is catchy. So most people want to associate with it and get the best managers to their clubs. So you are seeing Iraola, some if I'm getting that name correctly, coaching a Bournemouth, and they are playing good football, and you have more in the season coming. Maybe the teams that are coming up will even hire tactical managers because they have that financial strength to do that, because of the Premier League and the monies and everything. So minus Guardiola, the league is competitive and it's becoming even competitive. Imagine if Man United get a Tuchel and West Ham get another manager and all of that. So you're not only competing against Pep, you're competing with other managers who could take points away from you as compared to other leagues. So Ben White, for me, is a standout. I think this is his best season so far in an Arsenal jersey. He has become a beast. He has added dark arts to his game. Most of our set pieces is made possible. The goals we score is made possible because of Ben White's antics and
But
all of
I
that
don't
around
like
the
him,
box.
all those antics, honestly, trying to take a goalkeeper's glove and all those things. I hate it. I personally. Because if someone does it against me, I'm not happy. So once you are looking at somebody's ass, look at your bum too. That is what I would say. I'm so disgusted about what he's doing, though. It's good to distract the goalkeeper, but to be touching people, doing all these things. You remember Stoke City used to do this to us in the Wenger era, Tony Pulis, and we were mad. So I wouldn't say that is a plus for him. That is not fair play, in my opinion. I'm just saying it. I don't care. That's what I feel, though, Derek.
At the end of the day, what is fair is what the referee calls fair. And if they are not blowing against Ben, then it is fair. Because if Stoke did it to us, it doesn't mean that now that we have developed such antics, we will not use them. We'll now say, okay, because, when as a Wenger had this team, we're always complaining we are soft, no grit, and that man from Watford was always mocking us that we don't have cojones. I don't know what they call that in English.
Troy Deeney. Well, it means that we don't have no
Yeah.
testicle fortitude, no balls. We're cowards.
All right. So now we are developing those balls and everything, and I think Austins want to have 11 Catholic priests playing football on the pitch. But Benoit, like I said, is doing what I think they're asking him to do because he's producing results. And I think, and that's what every manager would like. Whatever that produces results, keep on doing it and all of that. Do you want to tell me that teams do not study what Ben White does? They do. They would want to stop him, but is that bone in your throat and you find different ways, but it's still stuck there until it finally lives by itself. So big up, minus those antics, he has been good. Most of the goals we have considered in the Premier League this season, as if you watch it, it has not always come from Ben White's area of the defense. They have exploited the left-hand side, and that is where an area we have to look at. Even if we have Timber back, we have to have a backup. I think if we're not selling Zinchenko, we should be phasing the guy into the midfield as rotation. Because we all know that he doesn't even play that for his nation.
Go to
I'm sorry, Austin, are we talking about player of the season? Have we moved the
No.
player of the season?
We are talking about the review of the season. That's why I'm saying he should wrap up quickly. Then Belgium will give his perspective about the season so far.
All right.
Then we go to
all right. I quickly rounding up. I feel areas for improvement is going behind. I feel most of the matches we lost this season, when we go behind, it is hard to ever win a match after going behind and all of that. Let's find ways to drill these guys in training that when we go behind, we find ways. We have that mentality coming to next season that when we go behind, we find ways to win matches. Then we need to beef up the squad, have a good rotational squad, most especially for Saka. We need. It is high time we find a replacement for Saka. Get a good striker, irrespective of Havertz should be the striker, a backup to the striker or a rotational striker to the striker. He should never play midfield in his life again. We all know now that he has discovered a position that he can play, and he should stick to that place. Maximize sales, sell fringe players like Nketiahs, Nelsons, and all of that. When we maximize them, we can actually beef up and have better qualities to replace. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Derek. That's why sometimes we like to hear some of our speakers who haven't spoken. Belgium, your season review so far from preseason, first half of the season, watching up until now. How do you sum everything up, Belgium, up until where we've got into? If Belgium is not ready, Anthony, go through.
What did
Yeah,
you call?
sorry.
Do you want me to call
No,
it?
Yeah.
Go on, Belgium.
Yes, Belgium. I wanted to know how, the season so far, how you saw it, performance in the Caps, in the league up until now, where you think we fall short, improvements in areas you see it because you see this team week in, week out, and what we can do to next season probably be jubilating by now.
Well, first of all, season is not done yet. And
I know, but
season still
so
on,
far, if
so it'll
it's
be
in
too
our
early to
hands,
kind
we'll
of give
be
you
happy.
do a full assessment. And
But so do
you can't,
assessment so
now
far.
you
for
can't
you.
that's picking up abstracts.
We played the Champions League, right?
Yeah, well, the
Carabao
Champions
Cup,
League, with the
FA
Champions League
Cup,
again
the
to
league is not in our hands. So
wait,
as at now,
wait,
today,
the Champions
yeah.
League this season, where we got to fantastic achievement, quarterfinals. because we've not been there for such a long time.
So
And
if we win it, what adjective will you use?
it will have been, listen, hey, but you know what? I said, even in the beginning of the season, I said if we got to the quarterfinals, I'll like it. Anything beyond that will be a
Yes, you
bonus.
said it though, to be fair.
Anything beyond that will just be, oh, it's a God blessing. And you just take it. Considering that obviously the final will be played at Wembley, and it will just be a blessing. But it didn't happen. And again, to when people said, oh, Bayern Munich, they've not. No, Bayern Munich, they've a bunch of good team. The players, fantastic players. But obviously, in terms of being stable in the league, they've not been. But it doesn't mean that they're a bad team. On the day, they'll smash any team. So, I mean, for that one, I can say to you, we've done relatively okay. Obviously, I mean, now there will be number of games which will be add to which will be added to the number of games that they played last season. So there will be more games. So obviously, for Arteta, we got to manage. He got to understand that the Champions League group stages is not going to just be one group stages. It will be two group stages. So he's got to make sure that okay, the players he's got there, uh, they're able to navigate through first group stages and the second group stages before we start talking about quarterfinals, 16 and quarterfinals. So it's got to work on that. In terms of the cups, yeah, FA Cups and the Carling Cup, yeah, I think in fact it seems to me that next season most of these teams, some of the Carling Cups games, I think some of these clubs might not want to be involved much because we've got the Champions League and it's group stages. So I think they might not want to spend too much energy into that. But FA Cups, is got to again to organize his team and they got to go back again. But for me, the league is the one I wanted this season, and we're still in it. I know people say, no, City, they've never lost a game since December. Listen, the game against Nottingham Forest, it was just like literally, in fact, if Nottingham Forest, they might go down eventually because of this, their striker who literally is a City supporter, I think so. And literally how he got chances, I don't know, on opportunities, and he decided just to fluff it somehow. It's a bit,
You're talking about Chris Wood, right?
it's bit kind of questionable. So I let
Oh,
that
you
one
mean
to the authority.
Batiman Woods, yeah?
Guys,
I let
Keep
that
this
one to
info.
the,
clown.
I let that one to the authorities to deal with that. Now coming back to the team, our team. Listen, we've got fantastic bunch of players. Technically, tactically, very good students. In fact, before obviously we missed Partey, but he wasn't there. But what Partey had is just another option because in terms of quality, we've got Jorginho, Odegaard, and again to Declan Rice. Uh, Obviously, maybe the coach. It's always happening, isn't it? When you buy new players, you're trying to try them into kind of various positioning to see how they adapt to it. And I think possibly for me, playing Declan Rice as a six, for me, didn't make any sense. And again, in the beginning, trying to play with lone six, knowing that top teams nowadays now, they've switched their system, to double pivot by playing that 4-3-3. Why is he playing the lone six with Declan Rice? It didn't make any sense. But obviously, that's what Arteta is learning. And he's kind of this season, he saw that he's kind of matured, quickly in terms of how to fix when there's a problem. Like a typical one, let's just use the Tottenham game. We played the Tottenham game and we saw a first half when we were in control. Forget about Tottenham had the whole ball and they were just playing sideways. At no time, and I've said it many times, how Arteta designed the team and the way he designed it is like the whole structure defensively. It makes difficult for any team to break Arsenal down. So literally, Tottenham, even though they were playing, they had the ball, they didn't do anything apart from maybe one in transition when Song had that chance. But apart from that, that's it. They didn't have anything first half. Second half, too, we kind of trying to lower down a bit the tempo, right? And we're trying to hit them when there was a need, And I think, yeah, we have made that unfortunate mistake, and that's when they start again to start to get back into the game. And uh, he was Declan Rice, the second penalty. But what Ateta did was when we were losing those 50-50 balls, he realized that, you know what? You need to get somebody in. Then he introduced Kivio. After that, then you saw that we start dealing with those 50-50 balls. So I think that's another thing that, again, I'll give it to Arteta in terms of how to react. No more like running and getting himself animated on the touchline. And as I used to say before that, stop this. You got to be more observant. So what he's done this season is kind of, normally stood there and just make sure that he observed and see where, if things is not going well, how, halftime or maybe within that in the game, how he can quickly send instructions so that they can fix it up. And I think I'll give him that one into that. Now, when people said, oh, our team compared to City, oh, we can't compare, that's not true. Why? This season, if you look at, in fact, if they want to give it, they want to go by logic. I'll apply logic. I tell you what, City doesn't deserve to win the league, neither Liverpool, because Arsenal beat both teams. Arsenal got 4 points from both teams. So literally, if we ended up winning the league, which I just pray that it will happen, then no one should not even say, "Oh, because we lost to West Ham, we lost to Fulham." Now that's in the past. It happened. It's a league. Or we lost to Villa. It's a league, and anything can happen. Do you understand? So the point is I was making is about City. The number of City teams. It's not like they're better than Arsenal team. We got a bunch of good players, equally a bunch of good players from City. But at the same time, so we got a good coach. Pep is an experienced one. We all know it. Fantastic coach. Arteta is a student. He's learning, but he's learning fast. Because City didn't beat us this season. And they failed to break us down this season. They only had one shot on target with even Haaland. Somebody was saying, somebody say, oh, Alvarez. How many goals has he scored, even though he was given the chances? Even more than our second choice striker, Nketiah, Eddie. How many goals has he scored? How many goals? So I think people sometimes we tend to, for me though, that's my own view, we tend to use too much of computer football, or maybe we had something like who was that? I was on the space, wasn't your space, hosting space. Oh no, these guys in Nigeria, Arsenal space, and somebody came on and said, "Oh, on Sunday, wasn't Gary Neville was saying that Partey looks tired. He should have been changed. He should have been taken off and introduced Jorginho." I'm there thinking, look at this, crazy. I said, who is Gary Neville? What does he know about football? Okay, fair enough. He used to be a football player, but he wasn't a fantastic football player. And again, the coach is there on the touchline. Gary Neville is watching it from the studio. So what does he know? And for him, he believes that if you watch that game on Sunday, the reason why Partey is there is not by chance, it's not by luck. It's by pure football, and we saw it when it comes to progressing the ball, when it comes to setting up the tempo of the game, controlling the tempo. Don't get me wrong, Jorginho, fantastic player, but what Partey does, Jorginho can't do that. Jorginho only controls, he can close the spaces, clear it, and play, safe. But Partey does more than that. Those risks. That's why sometimes he pick up an injury. He has to, quick ball, progresses forward. Look at, look at these scenarios we created before the goals. Those quick ball. The second, wasn't it? There was a situation. There was a in-game situation where literally I thought, hang on a minute, what are you doing, Party? And again, to on top of that, those don't mean, to what's the name? Madison, lying down, and all this stuff. So that's again to sometimes we tend to listen too much of narrative from outside and trying to bring in as a conversation. And sometimes it's like, even though you watch it, you don't go to watch it live and you watch it at home on TV, which I did it on Sunday, trying to have your own mindset, analyze it on your own, just watch it. That's how we do it. I mean, I don't call myself pundit, but I talk. It's like, but when I'm talking to when foreign radio show called me and to come and talk to them about football, or do stuff, or when I go on the FTV, or when I'm doing stuff for Diaspora, I just feel like I know I'm there. That's what I saw, or that's what I see, or this is what I can see. This is what I want to talk about. Not being influenced by what people saying, oh, this. No, because I'm there thinking, how can you be quoting Gary Neville? What does he know? The coach, Arteta, is on the touchline, and you take Partey off and bring on Jorginho, and that's not how. I mean, we were 3-2 up. So you bring on Jorginho to do what? That's not what we needed, And where we needed the left back, and that's when he introduced, So he saw the solution, he saw the problem, and quickly fix it, And last season,
Belgium, Belgium, do you not think you've got too much loyalty towards certain players? See, me personally, I'm not Player FC, I'm
Mark,
Arsenal
please let me
FC.
finish talking, man, before you like to interrupt people nowadays, Prof. For me, last season, if it was last 2 seasons ago, that game against Tottenham, possibly it could have been a draw. And I think people were saying earlier on that, like last season,
So can we
last season where
quickly wrap up,
my
please?
friend, just keep quiet, let me talk, my friend. Last season, where literally, that's why when people said, "Oh, we bottled the league," I always said no, because no one was expecting Arsenal to win the league. But possibly what happened to the players, the expectation, they were not able to keep it up. It was a bit high. So they were not able to deal with the expectation. That's why, literally, before we played the City game, the game against West Ham. Then there was no much. After West Ham. And I remember, Liverpool, which was 2-2, that was still okay. Then West Ham game. Then after Southampton, I think that whole morale just kind of went down a little bit. And that's why the game against it, again, considering that we were losing players, we kind of lost a bit of players. Saliba wasn't there. And the coach decided to kind of go in with one shape, where we played.
Sorry, I'm sorry. Can we? This is a season review. We got other people who's got hands. Can we get this wrapped up respectfully? I don't want to be rude or anything, but can we
Yeah, Uncle
kind
Belgium,
of
wrap up
wrap that
quickly,
up?
then we
Why
come
is it?
to
Listen, Anthony, that's
Belgium.
rude.
Just wrap
Wait,
up
let me
quickly.
tell you, that's bloody rude.
Belgium, just wrap up quickly. I gave you spoke for like 5-6 minutes. Wrap up quickly. When we come to the season players, then you speak individually about them, how you expected. But before, as you are wrapping up Belgium, right? As you are wrapping up, do you think that Partey and Timber has cost us this season, and just use that to wrap up? Then Anthony will go. After that, then we come back again to you. So, do you think Timber and Partey has caused that, like this season, by not being available and where we are right now? Then we go through. Belgium, go through. No hate or anything. Just go through. Yeah.
No, how can you accuse them? They didn't pick up
Just
anything from
wrap
the
up,
house.
Belgium. If this argument prolonged this way, do you think Partey and
No,
Timber
no,
has
that's why I say,
cost
how
us?
can you accuse them? They didn't pick
No,
up anything
like
from
if they
outside.
were, I'm not accusing the players, but the availability, has it been a
Oh, yeah,
factor?
if they were there,
Okay.
that would have added more options to the team. But remember, as I said, there was already a quality. Like we've got, what's his name? We've got Odegaard, fantastic player. We've got Declan Rice, and we've got Jorginho, fantastic player. So they've done well. It's just like that. Timber and Partey is kind of giving more options. So yeah, I think no, it just the coach maybe. The game against Villa, his shape or form, and maybe that's when he went wrong. The game against Fulham, yeah, it could be on a good day. We could have got wasn't a result out of that, but it didn't happen. No.
Yeah,
That's me.
big up Belgium. Anthony, your season review then. AY Slim, you take it on from the player ratings. We'll speak. Yeah. Let's go through, Anthony. How was your season? How did you feel? How we perform in the Caps, in the league up until now? You personally, are you happy and areas you think we can improve? Then we go to the player ratings. AY Slim will help us with that. Then we play this game, sell or keep. Then we wrap up the space. So Anthony, go through.
In relation to the season so far, obviously in the Champions League, I said if we got to the quarterfinals minimum, I'll be happy. You know, we haven't been there for 20 years. I'm not expecting us to win it. Unlike everyone else who's thinking, yeah, you know, we are going to win the Champions League. I don't know, you know, some Arsenal fans these days, it's just like, yeah, we've just been in the competition. We're going up against the best and the best. These guys haven't had experience in it. The Europa League and the Champions League are two different competitions. But in terms of the seasons as a whole, I'm happy that we're competing for the second season, but it's at the detriment of other cup competitions. It's like this manager has not been able to rotate, which I think has cost us, personally, you know, to some degree. Certain players he could have rested. You know, you have, for argument's sake, Aston Villa game. You could have played Thomas Partey. You could have played Tom Yasu. You didn't necessarily have to play again your full first team, who they've literally just, what are these guys doing? Come on, man. Who've literally just played against Bayern Munich, and then you're playing the same team against Aston Villa where we lost, and I think that's detrimentally where we lost in terms of the league. You know, so I'm happy that we have, you know, competed for the second season, but again, it's a case that rotation's a key thing. You can say, oh, we don't have the players, but the squads, you know, we do have adequate terms of some players that we could bring in, rotate a couple of times and take it from there. So I want to see us next season compete on all fronts. I don't want to see us go out of competition and bigger fish to fry and all that malarkey. I don't want to be seeing that again because it's embarrassing. You know, Arsene Wenger may have lost out in the Premier League, but at least he won FA Cup. So what we got to show for it? Yeah, you compete, but
whatever the fuck that
second is the first. What do they say again in terms of second is second place is a loser, or some stupidness like that. So it is what it is at the end of the day. You know, that's all I can say. For me, the season's done. You know, we've taken it to Man City as far as we go, but you know, we came up short again, and manager has to get criticised because of that, really and truly. So let's just hope next season we go again. We bring in the players that we need: a striker, another midfielder. I see Jorginho's got another contract, so where does that leave Thomas Partey? Is he going to stay? Is he going to go? You know, it is what it is, man. And that's all I can say, really and truly.
Yeah, man. I mean, go on. Go on,
yeah,
Hadi.
sorry. Thanks. I just wanted to. I didn't get to finish off my sort of review on Arsenal this season, but
is Hadi speaking because I can't hear him?
Oh, can you hear me then?
All right, cool. I'll have to come. I was gonna come out and come back in because I can't hear him.
Yeah, do that. I'll bring you straight back up.
Yeah, so basically, I think in general, man, like regardless of what happens, it really has been a great season for us. Like the way that we've been playing, the improvements that we made from last year. Like, I think a lot of our rivals, but even some of our fans, didn't expect us to be competing again this season, and at a much higher level. And the improvement has been immense on so many different levels. Like, yes, I know we've made a lot of mistakes on the way, and you know certain mistakes could have been avoided. But once you look at where we are now and what we've done, it's been huge. And one thing that, you know, I mean, I criticize Arteta and the players a lot, but again, the positive outweigh the negatives by a lot, to be honest. And it's just something that tells you that, you know, we should be very positive about next season. Not just next season, at least for the next good 3 or 4 years. If we continue with Arteta and we continue competing and bringing in top players, we're going to be a quite a force in the next few years.
Sorry,
And I
Hadi,
think,
just to cut you there. You just said something that the positive outweigh the negatives, but we did this last season in terms of he's gone out of all the other domestic competitions that we've gone in for.
yeah.
Yes, we've challenged again. So wouldn't you say that's a failure in itself in relation to going, sacrificing one cup because he doesn't know how to rotate properly, which is one of his biggest weaknesses?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I mean, to some extent, yeah. I mean, that's the problem. I think this is his maybe only or biggest problem that we have, but it's huge and it needs to be addressed in this summer. And I feel like I want to give him that opportunity, this last opportunity in the summer, him and Edu and the club in general, to address this issue and make sure they rotate with the players. Some of these players aren't going to hit it off straight away, but I feel like he has to maybe give them more of a chance, like the way he gave Havertz that chance to begin the season. Because if we don't do that, if we go into next season and we don't, and we play well, but we don't rotate again, and we miss out on trophies, then because of the same issue, then I'm sorry, it's gonna look like a massive failure. You know what I mean? If you're seeing the problem there, it's there all the time, but you're not addressing it, you could definitely say that's not a failure. But generally speaking, I think I want to give them the benefit of the doubt, but also the fact that we're not uh, a rich club as we like to think we are, where we can just spend and buy who we want. Often we have to make decisions that I think maybe isn't necessarily the right decision, but maybe it's the only decision. Um, with some of these players that we've given them contract extensions. Um, but yeah, I mean, like, I don't want to go dive into too much of it. I think, even though it's a major problem, but yeah, look, generally it's been a great season for us, and going into next season, I think we can improve and we will improve. I'm hopeful that we will make the right transfers this summer to bring in the players that we need and get rid of the players that we don't need or who aren't going to be useful for us, to make us, to actually win something, because we have to win something next year, next season, in my opinion. And the one thing that I've noticed, I think we have to look at our history as Arsenal, and something that shows that we actually are improving and we're going to be something bigger next season, is you look at our rivals, right? I've been listening recently to a lot of these, especially after the Tottenham game. A lot of these YouTube channels like the Football Terrace, and where you have like the rivals come up and speak, and the hate towards us is ridiculous. It's